Okay, so currently we have this weapon switching feature that we have been implemented in the previous tutorial, and now I'm gonna start working on the user interface. Actually, like currently we don't have any sort of a user interface that has been implemented, but I think this could be a good position to have a start on our UI as well, especially HUD, right? Because that's the user interface that usually the player sees when he plays the game. So for example, in our scenario, for this weapon switching and whatever the current weapon that we have been equipped, we can show it in our HUD, right? Plus later on we can implement like ammo counts or grenade amounts, things like that. But just to make an initiation, I think we can show whatever the weapon icon that you have been currently equipped. Okay, and I think inside the TPS game essentials folder, yeah, these weapons, and yeah, currently it doesn't have any textures, but we have the meshes and all, and the textures that we have are the textures for the weapon mesh itself, not specifically targeted for UI. But if you move to UI section, here you can see we have dedicated weapon icons that has been already there, right? So I have added multiple different weapons that we are going to add later on, but for now I think we can get started with this unarmed pistol, rifle and sword. Okay, right. So in order to first implement before implementing any sort of UI, actually I'm going to follow the same procedure that we have been done for our other subsystems. So like for weapons we have dedicated weapon system, and for locomotions we have dedicated locomotion system. Similarly, for user interface managing stuff, I will have a dedicated component called user interface system. So all the logics regarding to user interface specific features, we can encapsulate everything there, right? Okay, so I'll first create a component called a component called BPC user interface system, right? So currently this is just a empty actor component, and we can add this to our HUD, right? So in our HUD, actually we inside our blueprint games game base folder, we have already created this BP TPS game HUD instance. So in case if you haven't created it before, you can go and create it by using the HUD actor object, right? So once you created it, you can go there, and inside the component hierarchy we can add that user interface system there, right? And let's go back to user interface system, and just for testing at the begin player I will add a hello print statement, and let's see whether it is printing or not. Yeah, it is printing, because this TPS game HUD actor holds this user interface system actor component, and this specific HUD has been called at the TPS game mode. Here you can see we have initialized our HUD class, and this game mode is been already defined as the default game mode in our project settings, right? So by default this game mode will override the game mode of any level, right? So currently you can see if you go to your level world settings, currently it doesn't have any sort of a game mode that has been overridden at the level, which means the default game mode at the project settings will be considered as the game mode of the level. Okay, so that's how actually hierarchically this component is being called, and that is how actually Unreal Engine framework has been implemented as well. Right, so we have to follow the best practices, and later on it will give many advantages, right? Especially when we are scaling our game. Okay, so now we have a basic setup. Then we can create our first user widget. So I'll go to TPS game folder and let's create a new folder called UI. So all the user interface related user widgets or widget blueprints, I will hold it here, right? And inside there I will create another folder called weapon, and inside there let's create a user widget object or blueprint, and I'll call it as WB weapon. So WB actually stands for widget blueprint. Okay, so you can see like by default it's just a blank, but we can add some elements to it. So just to get started with, first we can add the canvas panel, right? So you can see by default it arranged to the screen size fill screen, which is fine. And then we can add a maybe size box, right? So this size box can be used to visualize or to encapsulate whatever the weapon images or other elements that we have. So I will use this size box. And as this size, I will give some width and height override for maybe like 110 and 110. And by default, you can see that there is no change that has been applied because we are using a canvas panel. So whatever the object that you put within the canvas panel, it will be like sort of adjustable, right? So for example, if you adjust this size box, it will be adjusted, right? Which means like the by default width and height won't be override unless we properly set these anchors, right? So let's set these anchors. So instead of anchoring it to the left side, I will anchor it to the right side. You can choose this one, and let's make everything 0 0 and 0 by default, right? So you can see now everything is cluttered towards to this specific pixel, right? And maybe we can start with this size X and size Y. So as the size X, I will give 110, and for the size Y, I'll give 110 as well. But I think these are a bit too much, but that's okay, right? And for the position X, I'll give 160, so it will be moved to here. And maybe for position Y, I'll give 40, so it's sort of arranged to here. Okay. Right. Now this would be fine, I guess. And I'll make it as size to content as well. Right. So now I can get rid of these manual sizings, right? Because if I toggle the size to content, it will use this overridden width and height, right? But in case if I untoggle this, it will go back to the default value that has been provided at this X and Y axis. Okay. So make sure to toggle this one. So later on you can quite easily override the width and height. Right. And then let's add an overlay to this size box like this. and we need an image, right? And I'll make it fill the space like this. So this image can be used as whatever the what do you call, whatever the weapon icon that we have, right? Okay, and then we need a text as well. So this text will be actually used later for our ammo amounts, to visualize our ammo amounts. And by default I will orient to center and bottom align to vertically. So as the default text, let's give it 999, but you can see we can't see it because by default the image color and the text color is same. So in order to distinguish what we have, I will give font outline maybe like 2, and let's reduce the text size as well, maybe for 16 would be fine, right? Later on actually we can have a proper design, but for now I think this would be nice as a prototype. Right, so I'll compile and save everything, and now we have this nice looking image and ammo amount, but currently we haven't included any sort of image to this specific instance. So just for reference, let's add a image. So search for unarmed, so T unarmed let's use as the default weapon icon. Okay, right, now we have our user widget, and then we need a way to bring it to our game, right? So for now, like if you play it, it doesn't visualize anything because we haven't added this widget to anywhere, right? So now to add it, I'll go to the BPC user interface system, and instead of this hello statement, let's create a widget instance, and as the widget class I'll give WB weapon, and then you can simply add this to viewport, compile and save. Right, now if I play it, you can see by default we have that nice looking weapon icon, right? But if I switch the weapons, actually currently it's not updating, but that's fine. Later on we can actually add some event dispatchers to update that weapon according to whatever the weapon that we have been currently equipped. But yeah, so currently we have this design, right? Okay, so in the next tutorial, let's see how we can improve this further, and see you there. Thank you.